In August 2018, a family of 4 vanished from their Colorado home. On TV, the husband begged for their safe return, tears in his eyes. But behind those tears was a secret so dark it shocked the entire world. This is the story of Chris Watts, the man who murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe for more true crime stories. Today we're covering one of the most infamous family murder cases in recent history. The Chris Watts case revealed how evil can hide behind the most ordinary smile. Chris and Shanann Watts seemed like they had it all. They lived in Frederick, Colorado, in a quiet suburban neighborhood where kids played in the streets and neighbors knew each other by name. Shanann was 34, vibrant, and loved sharing her family life on social media. She posted videos of her 2 little girls, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, and her husband Chris. To the outside world, they looked picture perfect. Chris worked in the oil industry, Shanann sold health supplements, and they appeared to be building their American dream together. But as we often see in true crime cases, social media posts don't always tell the whole story. Behind the Facebook photos and happy videos, the Watts family was struggling. They were drowning in debt, facing foreclosure on their home, and their marriage was falling apart. Chris had become distant and cold towards Shanann and the girls. More importantly, Chris was living a double life. He was having an affair with a coworker named Nico. While Shanann thought they were working on their marriage and planning for their 3rd child, Chris was planning something else entirely. Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with a boy they had already named Nico. On August 12, 2018, Shanann returned from a business trip to Arizona. She got home around 2 a.m. on August 13th. This would be the last time anyone saw Shanann, Bella, and Celeste alive. The next morning, Shanann's friend Nico became worried when Shanann didn't show up for a doctor's appointment and wasn't answering her phone. Nico went to the Watts house and called police when no one answered the door. When officers arrived, they found Shanann's car in the garage, her purse and phone inside the house, but no sign of the family. This immediately raised red flags. If Shanann had left voluntarily, why would she leave behind her car, phone, and purse? Chris arrived at the house while police were there. He seemed unusually calm for a man whose pregnant wife and 2 young children were missing. He told officers that he and Shanann had an emotional conversation that morning, and when he got home from work, they were gone. Chris claims Shanann must have taken the girls somewhere, maybe to a friend's house. But investigators immediately noticed inconsistencies in his story. His body language was off, he showed little emotion, and his timeline didn't match the evidence. The next day, Chris appeared on local news pleading for his family's safe return. He spoke directly to the camera, asking Shanann to come home and saying he missed them. But viewers noticed something strange about his performance. His tone was flat, his emotions seemed forced, and he kept looking away from the camera. Law enforcement was even more suspicious. In their experience, genuinely distraught family members behave very differently. Chris seemed more concerned with how he appeared on camera than with actually finding his missing family. Detectives worked quickly to piece together what really happened. Phone records showed Chris had been texting with his girlfriend throughout the weekend. GPS data from his truck revealed he had driven to a remote oil site where he worked early on the morning of August 13th. Security cameras from a neighbor's house captured Chris loading something into his truck that morning, though the footage wasn't clear enough to see exactly what. Most damning of all, investigators discovered that Chris had been researching how to start over with a new identity and had been looking at apartments for himself and Nicole. On August 15th, just 2 days after reporting his family missing, Chris agreed to take a polygraph test. The results were clear. He was being deceptive. When confronted with the failed test and mounting evidence, Chris knew his lies were falling apart. That evening, Chris finally confessed, but only told part of the truth. He claimed that he and Shanann had an argument about their marriage and his affair. In his first version, he said Shanann killed the girls in a rage, and then he killed her. This story didn't last long. Under continued questioning, Chris revealed what really happened that night. After Shanann came home from her trip, they argued about their marriage. Chris strangled Shanann in their bedroom while she begged for her life. Then came the most horrific part. 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste were still alive. Chris loaded Shanann's body into his truck, then woke up his daughters and told them they were going for a ride to see their mommy. At the remote oil site, Chris smothered both girls with blankets. Bella, The older daughter fought back and asked her father why he was doing this. Those were her last words. Chris then buried Shanann in a shallow grave and stuffed his daughter's small bodies into oil tanks at the worksite. He thought the oil would destroy the evidence, but he was wrong. The evidence against Chris was overwhelming. Rather than face a possible death sentence, he pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, including the death of his unborn son Nico. In November 2018, Chris Watts was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 84 years for other charges. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. During the sentencing, Shanann's father addressed Chris directly, calling him a heartless monster who threw away his family like trash. The courtroom was filled with emotion as family members spoke about the beautiful lives that were lost. The Watts case became a global sensation, inspiring documentaries, books, and countless discussions about domestic violence and family annihilation. People struggled to understand how a father could kill his own children, especially in such a calculated way. Chris initially tried to blame Shanann, claiming she was controlling and that he felt trapped in the marriage. But these excuses fell flat when the full truth emerged. This wasn't a crime of passion or temporary insanity. Chris had planned this for weeks, researching how to start a new life while his pregnant wife and children slept in the next room. The Chris Watts case teaches us several important lessons. First, social media can create a false image of happiness that hides serious problems underneath. Second, family annihilation cases like this often involve men who see their families as obstacles to a new life rather than people they love. Most importantly, this case shows us that domestic violence can escalate quickly and often without warning. Friends and family of the victims said they never saw signs that Chris was capable of such violence. Today, Chris Watts sits in a Wisconsin prison, serving his life sentence. He's given several interviews trying to explain his actions, but nothing he says can bring back Shanann, Bella, Celeste, or baby Nico. What do you think drove Chris Watts to commit such a horrific act? Was it his affair, financial pressure, or something darker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and subscribe for more true crime content. Until next time, stay safe and remember that not every perfect family photo tells the real story. Rest in peace, Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico Watts.